What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I am your host, Kenny Dussault, and today we are talking about being coachable. Being coachable. Why are we talking about being coachable? Now, the reason we're talking about this, guys, is because plain and simple, one of the biggest problems that a lot of athletes have is not being coachable, not listening to the right people, not implementing feedback they get, and not putting themselves in a position to be more successful, right? And a lot of this, sometimes I find anyway, comes from an ego. Comes from an ego of thinking, I've got skills, I'm already good, I already know what I'm doing. And then like when you think about it that way, you're going to sacrifice a lot of new skills you can learn. You're going to sacrifice a lot of new abilities that you can learn. Right. So what you need to start understanding is that even if you have skills, even if you're good, you need to understand when to be quiet, listen, and learn so you can get better. Right. Like this used to be a big issue for me, even in like business, growing on social media. That was one thing. Even when I wasn't growing on social media, I always felt like I knew what I was doing. I felt like I knew what I was talking about. So like, somebody would say something and I was like, oh yeah. Like I know what to do there. And then I started realizing that I'm like, in the beginning anyway, I started realizing I was like, I'm not doing that well with this whole social media thing. And these people have the ability to help me with it. Like, why am I like pretending that I already know what I'm doing when they're clearly doing something that I'm not? Right. And even with coaching, that was one of those things that it's like, don't get me wrong, I understand I'm very good at what I do. I understand that, I have a lot of abilities in this field. But one thing that I've had to learn over the years, and one thing that has served me extremely well over the years, is learning when you're number 2 in the room, learning when you are the one who needs to shut up, pay attention, and take notes. Right. And one of my favorite examples of this is when I went to the UFCPI. I've been there a few times now. I went probably 4 or 5 times last year. And as much as, again, I understand what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about, I know that I get good results with athletes that come my way. This team and this facility operated at such a higher level than I'd seen before that when I showed up to their gym, I just went, oh, well, time for me to shut up, pay attention, take notes, and ask questions. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what I'm talking about. Even if I see something and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know why they're doing this, or I'm pretty sure I know the thought behind this, I'm just going to ask, because this is an amazing facility. The fact that I'm here is an amazing opportunity. And I want to get as much out of this opportunity as I can. Right. So the entire week while I was at the UFCPI, every time, when I saw something that I wasn't absolutely 100% certain about, I went up to the coach that was doing it. I said, hey, when I look at this, like, this is kind of what I see. Like, why are you guys doing it this way? Or, what are you working on with this exercise or the way you're setting up this superset? And by doing that, I was able to take so much away that I was then able to bring back to my team, able to bring back to my programming, able to bring back to my athletes, that our game leveled up exponentially. Right. And this is an issue I see with a lot of athletes. A lot of athletes, they come into training, they come in, even with strength and conditioning, it always cracks me up. I'll have athletes message me, be like, no, like, I know what I'm talking about. I do my 10-mile runs 3 times a week, and, I lift my weights and I push to failure and I do this. And they name like all the kind of typical old school, grind it out harder than anybody styles that, just don't work. And they're like, yeah. So like, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, like when you start burning your body out, give me a call. We can sort it out for you. But it's like, it's understanding when you're number 2 in the room, right? It's understanding when it's time to be coached versus when it's time to coach. Like, I understand if I am with one of my athletes in the actual MMA gym or in the actual boxing gym or whatever other sport they're doing, I am number 2. I don't know what I'm talking about here. You do. You teach me. You show me how to do stuff. You explain to me why we're doing stuff certain ways. But when we're in the strength and conditioning setting, whether it's online or whether it's in person, whatever, when we're in the strength and conditioning session, you're number 2. You don't understand this stuff the same degree I do. Right. But then when I'm in the strength and conditioning session at the UFCPI, I'm number 2. I don't know what I'm doing the same extent that they know what they're doing, right? So it's always understanding when it's time to coach and when it's time to be coached, and then being able to accept that role, right? Because one thing I used to always be afraid of, looking stupid, right? If I asked a question, I'm like, oh, but like, what, I should know this already. And what if like they give me an answer and I feel like an idiot for asking? And there was always that like, ego kicking in, being like, oh, I can't ask that because it's going to be stupid. Or like, oh, I should know that already. Or if I was doing something wrong and someone gave me feedback, I'd always try to justify it, right? I'd be like, oh, yeah. But like, I'm just doing that because, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just listen, accept the feedback, and see if there's something I can improve, right? Because what's going to do more for me in the end, trying to justify why I'm doing something a certain way, or listening to this other person that might have insight that might help me, right? Listening to the other person and who might have insight that can help you is always going to be the better option. So this is something I need you guys to understand as well, right? When you are in any situation, understand when it's time to listen and when the people around you might have insights that are going to be able to be of benefit to you. Because when you do that, when you're putting yourself in that position, you're going to learn more. And the question you really got to ask yourself, and this was something that, I really asked myself a lot over the last few years as I've gotten these opportunities to be in these high level rooms, is do you want to be the man or do you want to win, right? Or do you want to be the woman or do you want to win? Because if you just want to be the man, cool, continue to justify what you're doing, continue to, like not listen to people, do whatever, and you could just walk around your little area and pretend that you're the fucking man, right? But if you actually want to win on a large scale, you got to understand that there are people winning in areas that you're not. There are people winning, doing things at a higher level than what you're doing. And if you're not willing to listen to them, you're not going to win because they're not going to be able to give you the insights that they have. But if you're willing to take the back seat, you're willing to take number 2 in the room, you're willing to shut up, pay attention, take notes in those situations, you're going to get a lot further along at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And by doing that, you're going to be able to take some good things back to yourself, to your own career. And you're going to be able to make solid improvements that are going to allow you to succeed at a much higher level. So guys, the main thing I want you to take out of this is understand that it's time to start embracing humility. It's time to start embracing humility. It's time to start understanding when there are people that can help you in certain areas, where your weaknesses are. And it's time to start understanding it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I don't know everything. It's okay to put yourself in the student seat and actually take the time to learn versus pretending that you know everything. By embracing the humility, by embracing that mentality, you're going to learn a lot more and you're going to win at a much higher level. So continue to think you're the man. Continue to, believe in yourself. Like I said, I believe that I'm very good at what I do, but I understand that there are people that have insights that I don't. There are people that know things that I don't, and there are ways that I can continue to improve. So find the balance of understand, yeah, I'm good at what I do, but also understand that there are people that are better and there are people that are going to be able to teach you things. And as a result of that, you're going to put yourself in a much higher position, much better position in order to be able to succeed at a much higher level. So guys, I appreciate you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you on the next episode.